of where so many Somalilanders gave their lives for the defence of this country and also beating fascism on the Horn of Africa. And I think there is a debt of honour that we owe the people of Somaliland to restore the freedom to them.
Somaliland has a real affection, the people of Somaliland have a real affection for this country. It goes back a long time, and it would be absolutely right for our government to encourage and support and allow Somaliland to be actually a real nation.
The maturity and the strength of democracy within the country, which is an essential building block for recognition for statehood, which should be recognised by the government.
But one has the right honourable member given any thought how the devolved governments can play a role in supporting the people of Somaliland as they continue to seek formal recognition?
Places where there are large Somaliland communities. Would you join with me in making the point that remittances into Somaliland from the diaspora is enormous? Some years ago, the level of remittancing was something like 6 times
from their Somaliland communities here in the UK, but also about many of the issues that the honourable gentleman raised. And as I said, I wanted to declare my interest as one of the vice chairs of the all-party group on Somaliland. It's been in existence for a very long time in this place, and I'm really pleased.
Thank you very much indeed to my honourable friend. I congratulate him on this debate on a very, very important subject. And we've heard in the House today unanimity on the very many reasons as to why we should recognise.
Aid has been channelled through the Federal Republic of Somalia, through the government in Mogadishu, which has sadly meant that actually those people in Somaliland have often not got the level of assistance that actually this government was expecting them to get. And a perfect example of that was on vaccines. A large supply of vaccines was sent for the people of Somaliland, but it was channelled through the government in Mogadishu. So by the time it arrived in Somaliland, sadly, most of those vaccines only had a few days left in order for them to be dispensed. I will go to my right honourable friend and then I'll go to the honourable gentleman.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker, and I really do thank my right honourable friend for allowing me to intervene. I don't have any Somalis in my constituency, but I have a great deal of love for the country. Reason being, my ayah came from Somaliland when we lived in Aden. Can I remind the House that the Aden Protectorate and the Somaliland Protectorate were very closely linked. I do remember my father flying over to Somaliland as part of the Aden Protectorate levies when there was a close link. Somaliland has a real affection, the people of Somaliland have a real affection for this country. It goes back a long time, and it would be absolutely right for our government to encourage and support and allow Somaliland to be actually a real nation.
Well, we've seen the people of Somaliland pay a price for the defence of this nation, both in the First World War and in the Second World War. And if you go to Somaliland, you can see the Commonwealth War Grave cemeteries of where so many Somalilanders gave their lives for the defence of this country and also beating fascism on the Horn of Africa. And I think there is a debt of honour that we owe the people of Somaliland to restore the freedom to them that they actually fought to preserve for us as well. I give way to the honourable gentleman.
I thank the right honourable member for giving way and join others in congratulating him for securing this debate, which has demonstrated an exceptional degree of unity across the House in supporting his proposal. And he makes a good point on the debt of honour that we have to the people of Somaliland. My honourable friend, the member for Sheffield South East, highlighted the strong community that we have within the city who owe their origins to Somaliland, and it was in recognition of that that the Council in 2014 passed a resolution adding its voice to the demands for independence. But would he agree with me that the elections held last year, the parliamentary and local elections held last year, again another successful democratic moment within Somaliland, simply further reflected the the maturity and the strength of democracy within the country, which is an essential building block for, for recognition for statehood, which should be recognised by the government.
Madam Deputy Speaker, I don't often stand up and advocate that the government should be following the leadership of Sheffield City Council, but on this occasion I very much do. It should it should try and catch up with what Sheffield City Council have been doing. And, you know, so many communities, whether it's Sheffield, Liverpool, Cardiff, Bristol, Swindon, we can go on, have actually welcomed Somalilanders, and Somalilanders have made these great cities and great communities their home, and will continue to do so. I give way to the Honourable Lady.
I thank the Right Honourable Member for giving way, and it's demonstrated tonight just how important this topic is for all of us here. Newport is home to the second largest Somaliland community in Wales, and I want to place on record my thanks for their contributions over the years to the city. It's been amazing. But I wonder, has the Right Honourable Member given any thought how the devolved governments can play a role in supporting the people of Somaliland as they continue to seek formal recognition?
Well, I very much believe that this is a United Kingdom endeavour where we can all move forward with actually building those already existing bridges, but making them stronger between the United Kingdom and Somaliland. And actually, we've seen in municipal government and devolved government many steps already trying to encourage the links between our great nations of the United Kingdom and Somaliland. But now is really the time for the UK government to take the lead, for the Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office not to be shy, not to think that policy is stuck in the 1960s, as has been already touched on by a number of members in this House. I'll give way to my honourable friend.
Thank you very much indeed to my honourable friend. I congratulate him on this debate on a very, very important subject. And we've heard in the House today unanimity on the very many reasons as to why we should recognise Somaliland. But I wonder, as a former Education Secretary, would he view and accept Somaliland as a champion of education in Africa for both boys and girls? And when we heard the reference to how the devolved administrations and how this government can assist and help and develop and support Somaliland, the education system is not only something to be treasured, but perhaps we can support that in some way.
One of the most precious things that we can have in a nation is democracy, it's justice, but it's also the education that we give our children. And if you have the privilege of going to Somaliland, you actually see boys and girls both being educated. There is no discrimination there. They recognise that they want to be educating all, because that is what will strengthen Somaliland for the future. I give way to my right honourable friend.
I'm most grateful to my right honourable friend. He's heard representations from a number of places where there are large Somaliland communities. Would you join with me in making the point that remittances into Somaliland from the diaspora is enormous? Some years ago, the level of remittancing was something like 6 times the annual state budget. And one of the things that the Minister could take away and consult with his officials about today is trying to make remittancing easier, so there's more competition, less charges for the enormous community in the United Kingdom to be able to send money back through the remittancing structure without paying exorbitant fees.
My right honourable friend is right to highlight the importance of remittances going into Somaliland. And actually, this government doesn't make it easier for people to be able to do that. And because this government takes a view that Somaliland is lumped in with Somalia, it makes it much more difficult for businesses to be able to operate there, make sure that there's a flow of money from the diaspora community in this country going back to Somaliland. And it's a very practical measure that the FCDO, working with Her Majesty's Treasury, could actually take up, look at, and how they could make those improvements. And I hope my right honourable friend, the Minister, will actually able to respond to that in his comments at the end of this debate. But this is a country that has incredibly proud links with this country. Yeah. This is a country that when we have been in need and what we have asked for help, they've responded. They've responded by sending their young men to defend our values and our freedoms. In 1991, this country emerged from years of subjugation by the regime in Mogadishu. It emerged from having had their children, having had so many citizens killed in cold blood. And it was able to establish its borders once more. It was able to put the structures in place for a legal system and elections all across Africa. We are always asking for them to have a proper legal system, to educate their boys and their girls, and to make sure there is the establishment of democracy. Well, in May of last year, you saw the parliamentary elections in Somaliland, and they were peaceful, they were calm, they were fair. You saw the rollout of iris technology, the first use of this technology anywhere on the continent of Africa, to make sure that they were fair and they were properly run. All of this goes to show the maturity of this country. You've seen in Somaliland, you've seen different parties enter government and leave government, not questioning the veracity of their opponent's claim. Indeed, if I recall, there's one election, presidential election, was a margin of 80 votes. And that vote was accepted, and you saw that peaceful transition. I can't help thinking that there are some Western democracies, if a margin was quite so close, there might have been a little bit more controversy than what you saw within Somaliland. Somaliland has been this amazing shining beacon of everything we want to see flourish in Africa. It is the example that we want others to follow. But they need our help and they need our assistance, because around them they see real challenges. To the south in Somalia, you see the challenges of Al-Shabaab there. You see the disorder and the difficulties in Ethiopia. You see some of the real security challenges in Djibouti. Somaliland is a country that wants to be our friend. It's a country that turns to us and they ask us to show leadership. So I ask my right honourable friend, instead of delivering the pre-prepared brief that no doubt every Foreign Office minister has given for the last 60 years, show some guile, show some leadership, show some imagination, show the fact that he is a politician, not merely a tool of Foreign Office officials in order to read their words. I've worked with him in the Whip's office. I sure saw some moments of merit. But actually, as politicians and this House, we need to show leadership on this issue. We need to show our friends in Somaliland that we are willing to defend them as they have defended us. So even if he cannot give us all the promises that we would like to see, even if he cannot say that we can recognise Somaliland at the dispatch box today, he needs to go away and we need to sit down and work out how we take those next steps. Because we cannot spend another 30 years pretending the reality on the ground of the existence of an independent Somaliland doesn't exist because it's not on the Foreign Office map. We need to respond to those realities. We need to lead on foreign policy. We need to show our Somaliland friends that we are there for them and that we will deliver for them. And we will not just talk about our history, but we'll talk about how we can make our history together in the future.
Stephen Doughty.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker, and it's an unusual pleasure to be able to speak in an end-of-day adjournment debate because of the timings. And I want to firstly congratulate and thank the Right Honourable Gentleman, the former Defence Secretary, for securing this debate today. I think it's been hugely powerful, and I think the voices that have been heard on both sides of the House, I think, show the strength of feeling and the strength of feeling that people have from their Somaliland communities here in the UK, but also about many of the issues that the Honourable Gentleman raised. And as I said, said, I wanted to declare my interest as one of the vice chairs of the all-party group on Somaliland. It's been in existence for a very long time in this place, and I'm really pleased, Madam Deputy Speaker, I think in the spirit of this debate, to say that it includes members from all parties, it includes members from both houses, and many people who, like the right honourable gentleman and I have also travelled to Somaliland and seen for ourselves the huge progress, the huge impressive progress that has been made, particularly since those very, very dark days which the right honourable gentleman started his speech about, the atrocities that were committed, the literal levelling of Hargeisa, the capital city, and the remarkable progress that there's been since, largely driven by Somalilanders themselves and by members of the diaspora, the right honourable gentleman, the former International Development Secretary, who's still in the chair